Good afternoon po! Ayan. Indeed, God is great. God is great! Tama po ba? Let's hear it. Amen. Palapakan po natin ang Panginoon. Tayo po tayo lahat. Indeed, God is amazing and He deserves all the best offering that we can give. Let's pray. Indeed, Father God, we want to thank you and lift you up this afternoon. We want to acknowledge your presence in our midst, Lord. May you be praised and worshipped, Father God. And Panginoon, we open our hearts to you. We open our voices to you. We lift our hands to you. May you hear us, Father God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Come on, let's celebrate the goodness and faithfulness of our Lord. Give us the heart acceptable to your sight, Father. Standing in awe of your grace, says in His Word, therefore, God extended Him to the highest place and gave Him the name above every name, that at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father and ever, forever, forever. Amen. Let's sing praise to Him. Lord,
Praise God. Indeed, we have a wonderful God whose name is powerful. And our presence this afternoon is a manifestation of God's goodness and power that enabled us throughout the week, sustaining us with His grace. And so we just can't help but just praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Lord, we are overwhelmed by your goodness, by your mercy and your faithfulness to us. But above all, we are overwhelmed by who you are as a powerful God. That's why we come this afternoon to worship you and honor you, not just because of the things that you've done for us, O God, but because of who you are in our lives. Salamat, Panginoon, sa pagkakito ng Diyos na nakila. You are exalted, you are on your throne, and yet you are so near, and even here in our presence this afternoon. So we continually humble ourselves before you right now with a gratitude and with a grateful heart and humble spirit. We come before you right now, asking you to just fill us continually with your spirit, that we might be able to listen to your word with desire and enthusiasm, to know you more and to grow as your children. We ask this time that you will speak to us. We love you, Lord, and we thank you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Pakibati po muna yung mga kapatid. Magandang hapon, kapatid. Praise God. Praise God. All right. Praise God. Thank you for those sounds. Salamat sa Panginoon. So, we are on the last Friday of this month, and we praise the Lord for the past weeks that He has sustained us and even giving us a wonderful time of growing and studying His Word, particularly in the area of discipleship. And today we're going to end up one session for this month. So, join me as we start. Let me start by telling you a story. This is just a story about in heaven, where God already tried to look at the people who are coming in. There were actually thousands na pumasok sa sangkalanitan. But He made a special welcome for the husband and wives. And so He asked that all the women to go with Saint Peter and follow Him. While Jesus said, all the husbands, just stay with me and kindly form two lines. The one on my left will be the line for the husbands who dominated their wives on earth. And the one on my right will be the husbands who were dominated by their wives while living in earth. Okay? So there was a commotion, everyone was moving, the husband stayed, the wives went to St. Peter, and there were two lines. But the left line seemingly was several miles. Lahat ng lalaki, lahat ng asawa who were dominated by their wives while living here on earth really form a mile of lines. Talagang haba ng pila. And Jesus was shocked. When you look at the right side, the right lane, there was just a man all alone. The guy who controlled his wife and dominated his wife, and Jesus was so frustrated. And He said to those guys on the left, tell me what happened. Why did you allow your wives to control you while living on earth? And so He asked the single man, the husband, tell me, guy, and be proud. Tell these people, these husbands, how did you do it? What made you to fall in this line? And he said, because my wife told me so. Inubusan lang pala siya ng asawa niya. Mga kapatid, God has always a way and a unique way of separating real from the unreal. Jesus knows how to separate a professing from a practicing Christian, a fan from a follower, a committed disciples from uncommitted ones. And today He's going to give us the benchmark, the ultimate mark of a true disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ, which is actually dying to self. You want to know who's a disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ? He is the one who learned to die to himself. Okay? So our theme for this afternoon is about dying to self. The benchmark for a disciple. And I entitled God's message this afternoon as Die to Live. Pakisabi po natin, Die to Live. Pakisabi na mga kapatid, Die to Live. Shall we all rise as we read the Word of God? 3 verses, and we're going to read it all together. Please read it aloud. Okay. Ready? Begin. And He said to them all, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for me will save it. What good is it for a man to gain the whole world and yet lose or forfeit his very soul? Praise be to the reading of His Word, and you may all be seated please. So tatlong bagay po mga kapatid ang pag-aaral natin this afternoon. We're going to consider the idea, what's that idea of dying to self means? And then we go and proceed, where are the instances that we die to ourselves? And thirdly, we're going to consider the incentives in dying to self. Alright? So first, let's consider that first thing, the idea of dying to self. What does it mean to die to self? Okay? Now let me introduce our text this afternoon that prior to what we have read, okay, the preceding verses actually will show you the two different occasions that is really important for us to be able to appreciate our text this afternoon. May dalawang pangyayari na napakahalaga para maunawaan natin yung teksto natin sa hapong ito. The first thing is in verse 10 to 17 of the same chapter in Luke, chapter 9. That was the occasion when Jesus fed the 5,000 people who followed Him. Sumusunod sa Kanya, at dahil sa dami nila, actually the disciples wanted them to be pauwi na lang. Okay? But Jesus said, no, feed them, sabi ng Panginoon sa Kristo. But there was no food, so He asked, meron ba nagdala? And there were, please, merong nagbibit ng pagkain, and they were fed. 5,000 of them. And the next instance is that after that feeding of the multitudes, Jesus was now in verse 18 to 22, again, on the same chapter. This time, He was revealing Himself to His disciples, particularly Peter, about the terrible sufferings that He is going to undergo when He's crucified. Pinapahayag niya na ngayon yung kanyang magiging faith as the Messiah to be crucified. By that time, wala pa po silang knowledge about Jesus to be crucified. All they thought is that Jesus is the one who will be the King of the Jews. They were waiting or anticipating that the Lord that they are following will actually lead them to be a great leader, maybe a political leader. Alright? And so these are the occasions that actually that prompted Jesus to share something about on the issue of discipleship. Who are the true disciples? Because immediately after that situations, Jesus declared the ultimate test for a disciples' commitment. When He said to them, okay, that's the time that Jesus was actually revealing to the disciples about the suffering. The Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected by the elders, chief priests, teachers of the law, and He must be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. Right? In fact, there was an occasion that Peter replied to Jesus, "That will not happen to you, Lord." But Jesus said, "Peter, get behind me, Satan," because it was Satan who's influencing Peter. these things shall happen. And so Jesus, immediately after that, gave this wonderful test for a true disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ. He said to them all, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Again, it is not so difficult to discern the intention of the Lord Jesus Christ in saying this to the disciples. Why? Very likely, Jesus would like to test the sincerity of the intention of those who are following Him. Gusto niya malaman kung sino yung sincere at totoo na susunod sa Kanya. Those who want to truly follow the Lord Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. You see, the crowd and the disciples loved the Lord Jesus Christ. Sumusunod sila sa Kanya, marami silang nakita that Jesus could do. That's why many times you see Jesus even meeting their needs. Okay? Yung nagugutom, pinapakain niya. Yung may sakit, pinagagaling niya. Yung may demonyo, pinalalayas niya. In every way possible, He was actually helping the people na nakakasalamuhan niya at nakakarap niya. Because our Lord is a caring Lord. There was nothing wrong with that at first. But Jesus, although He loves those people and He cares for them, now He would like to raise up the level of their understanding of who He is and what it means to follow Him. Kaya nga, binigay niya yung salitang ito, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Why? Because Jesus would like them to grow from being hungry for miracles to being hungry for Him. Gusto ng Panginoon, kung dati ang tinitingnan nila yung mga himalalam ng Panginoon, this time, Jesus would like them to understand there's better than that, and that is the provider or the doer of the miracles Himself. He wants them to understand na meron mas malalim at mas malagang bagay sa buhay na hahanapin nila at walang iba kundi siya yun. He wanted them to see the blesser more than the blessings, the provider more than the provisions. He wanted them to be excited not just for what He could do for them, but rather what they would become through Him. Gusto ng Panginoon at mas excited ng Panginoon kung ano yung magiging sila kapag sinunod na siya bilang Panginoon ng kalambuhay kaysa yung mga tatanggapin nilang temporary mga bagay. And the only way to do it is none other than our theme this afternoon, that is to die from themselves. That's why He gave this command, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. So what does it mean? What actually involves in dying to self? Two things. First, dying to self involves forsaking ourselves. Forsaking ourselves. You see, He said, he must deny himself. The word deny, actually from the Greek word, is aparenomai, which means to forget oneself. To forget oneself. It was actually literally forsaking your own self. Yun ang ibig niyang sabihin, denying yourself. Now, this is not simply means depriving yourself of something for personal profit like food, nagda-diet ka, o yung paggamit mo ng gadget. Hindi mo itong ibig sabihin na kailangan mong pigilan yung sarili mo para na sa ganun medyo mabantayan yung katawan mo o kaya for the meantime maging disiplinado ka. It's more than that. It means the giving up of our own pleasure to gain the pleasure of God. There's a higher purpose why you are denying yourself. If you are just denying yourself for your own benefit, then it is not what it means here in this passage that says, deny yourselves. Because the denying of selves actually is geared towards gaining the pleasure of God. Upang makamit mo ang kaluguran ng Diyos at malulhati mo ang Diyos. That's why a revivalist by the name of Jonathan Edwards said, the enjoyment of God is the only happiness with which our souls can be satisfied. Ang tanging totoong makapagbibigay ng satisfaction sa kaluluwa ng sino man na kay Kristo ay ang kaluguran ng Diyos. At mapasaya natin siya. You see, the disciples of the Lord Jesus Christ were self-centered. Nakita natin minsan na nag-aaway-away sila. Sapagkat nung malaman nila ang Panginoon na aalis na, iwanan sila, is going to go back to His Father in heaven, who will be in His throne, they immediately asked, Lord, kasama pa si Maria, pwede bang yung anak ko sa kaliwa mo at sa kanan mo? It's an entitlement. It's a position that they would like to secure. They were so concerned of that. But the disciples may have given up something even when they were following the Lord Jesus Christ. Iniwan nila yung kanilang mga lambat para sumunod sa Panginoon sa Kristo when they were called, come, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Iniwan mo nila yung kanilang mga tahanan. Some of them that even left their families and their businesses, but except not themselves. Hindi pa yung sarili nila, mga kapatid. They were preserving their own lives. That's why the Lord Jesus Christ even went further. Hindi lang niya sinabing, deny yourselves or forget yourself. Pinakita niya the ultimate manifestation of a denying of oneself. Sabi niya, deny yourself and then take up your cross. Take up your cross. Now, taking up a cross, mga kapatid, has a different connotation from how we are using it today. Kasi pag pinag-usapan natin cross, ang iniisip kagad natin, yung mga kabigatan natin sa buhay. Di ba? Yung pasanin natin. Yung asawa ko, cross ko yan. Yan. Diba? Alala niyo ba yung pinento ko dati? Dalawang mag-asawa na nag-struggle sa kanilang relasyon at nagpa-counsel sa isang pastor. And nung kinounsel yung husband habang nagantay yung babae sa labas ng opisina ng pastor, paglapas ng lalaki, binuhat niya yung asawa at pinasan niya, inuwi. At ang sabi ng niya sa asawa niya, napaka-sweet mo naman. Yan ba sinabi ni pastor sa iyo? Nakargay mo ako. Hindi, sabi ni pastor, pasanin mo ang aking krus. Mga kapatid, that's not the cross that's being referred to here. It's not about our problems, about money. Hindi ho yung tungkol dito, mga kapatid. Hindi rin yung tungkol sa mga trabaho natin. Hindi ho yung burdens of life. Because malinaw sabi ng Panginoon sa Kristo, if you have your burdens in life, anong gagawin mo? Sabi ng Panginoon, cast all your burdens upon Him, for He careth for you. Come unto me, all of you who are heavily laden, and I will give you rest. Kapag may kabigatan ka, ibigay mo sa Panginoon sa Kristo. So this is different because this is something that Jesus would like us to carry. Doon pa lang po nagkakaiba na. Yun, pinabibigay niya sa atin, sa Kanya. But this one, carrying the cross, is something that Jesus would like us to do daily. Gusto niyang bitbitin natin, gawin natin, mga kapatid. Again, I told you before, that the concept of a man sa kanila, when this was written, when they saw a man. Now, by the way, the disciples were very familiar about cross. Because when Jesus Christ was 11 years old, according to history, some of the group, there were a rebellion going on. Lumaban sa Romans, at pinuntahan at sinakop, kinamkam yung armory na isang section nila. Nagtagumpay sila, but the Romans immediately, yung vengeance was quick and swift. And so they were able to capture them all. Hundreds. Immediately, alam yung ginawa nila? Isa-isa, ipinako sa krus. For them to relay the message that anybody who rebel under the Roman government will suffer from the most terrible punishment that they could ever have, which is crucifixion. So, when people would see a man carrying a cross going to a cliff or a mountain, there's no other concept that they have and perspective, but that man is not coming back. He's already dead because he's going to die when he reaches the place. So, ang konsepto nila, mga kapatid, pag nagdadala